Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Vice Chancellor, Ibu Profesor Dr. Departemen PDB Papres yang sedang ada di Zoom online. Okay, good afternoon everyone. How are you doing? So as you know, we'll be having our final round this year's NUDC, and today marks the accumulation of what you've been doing for the past 2 days. Now tell me who's excited. There in the beginning. In a minute, we'll have the teams that will go forward to this luxurious, lavishly looking seat around here, and then get to have some debating and go. Okay, now without further ado, I'm gonna let Misari take over as the CAP to announce the matchup of the motion to Misari Charles.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Are you ready for the announcement? Yeah. Okay, so this is very special, and this is the time, the moment of truth. Who are the top breaking teams that goes to the finals after the two very exhaustive days? So you guys are very make a very well done performance. Give applause to every one of us. And also, before the booking announcement, I want to send our gratitude as well to the company who have been us. Thank you so much. Give applause to all of you. And also for all the judges, thank you so much. Pak Halim, Pak Sena, Bu Dr. Putu, Bu Sena. But make a very amazing input and that have already delivered the best input to encourage all the debaters as well to make a better performance in the debate. So without further ado, here are what you waited for. The tournament announcements of the NUDC 2024. 8th place goes to with a PP 8 and team score 738. Congratulations to Faisal. By the way, the 8th of Brigade 2 also has been granted as a semi-finalist. So congratulations for the top best 8. 7th place goes to with a 58 and team score 743. Congratulations, award nomination. Yay. The 6th place. Drum roll. Alright. With a 59 and the team score 733. All right. The 5th place with a 59 and team score 749. Congratulations to 3D Mate. All right. Now we proceed to the final announcement. Congratulations to all the grand final breaking and NUDC 2024 Sriwijaya University. The first breaking to the grand final. With a 59. Congratulations. With a 50 time and team score 746. Congratulations to grand final. And the 3rd place with a PP 11 and team score 741. Congratulations to yang bilang katanya newbie yang kena breaking juga. Congratulations for medical faculty ya. Congratulations. Now to second place with the VP, fall with a team score 752. Congratulations too. Welcome. All right, the last finalist. The first bracket goes to the final with the VP 14, almost 12, almost. Team score 753. Congratulations to John Washington. All right. So before we proceed to the final round, we would like to invite all the grand finalists to come forward. We would like to make a lottery about your position in an OG, OO, CG, and PU. Please, the representative come forward. All the grand finalists, the representative. Would like to do a spin wheel.
Jadi ini aja bisa pakai laptop. Iya.
Raffi.
Iya, iya.
All right, for the announcement of the top last speaker will be made in 20. Oh, what do you?
Mau di sini, spin. Mau di sini atau di sana? Hah? Spin. Oh ya udah.
Okay, guys, representative. For the second speaker, individual speaker will be made in 21st March ya, barengan sama juara 1, 2, 3, 4 yang ada di final ini. Alright. Satu lagi semua. Masih ini ya, masih ya, percaya gitu ya. Congratulations. Okay, guys, as you can see here, all your names of the team are already here, so we're gonna make a spin wheel to choose the position. So we would like to choose the OG first, yeah? All right. 3, 2, 1. Percaya ya. Okay, guys. Jagoan Mama SDOG. Now we proceed to the OO. Choose the OO. Alright. 3. We don't have to have Plastic as the OO. Alright. As the CG. Gantari SCG. Itu karena ini grand final. Kita udah berusaha kalau. Oke, Gantari SCG and Snap as the CEO. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that's the main show. Okay, can you please be seated? Thank you so much. Alright, so now maybe komite boleh mintain nama-nama pembicaranya nanti saat mereka kesulitan. Okay, are you ready for the motion? Guys? Alright. Timekeeper stand by for the case building. Alright, for the team can make the case building sebelah aja kali ya. Alright, on the room senat ya. Jadi semua tim nanti bisa case buildingnya di sebelah. Ya, alright. For the motions, for the grand final, this house believes that government should establish and fund a separate healthcare system exclusively run by and for the indigenous people. Question? Countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The case building start from now. Happy debating, everyone. Yes? Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Okay, will be delayed because of the case building about the 15 minutes. Ibu Prof. Watara topik Prof. Radiati. So we will continue after the 15-minute case building and we will continue the finals after that. Thank you so much. And for all the judges that been assigned to be to assess or to adjudicate in the grand final, please be here and stay here. Don't go anywhere. Pak Sena, Pak Henry, Bu Putu here, Bu Vera. Oh, okay, Bu Vera, okay, Berlin. Okay, thank you so much. Oh, peserta yang lain stay here ya. Kita kawal semuanya sampai ke grand final. Okay. Oh ya, for complete Tebi akan di-share ya ke grup. Tenang, semua based on merit. Semua punya BAK. Right? Boleh silakan pindah ya ke building ke sebelah. Yuk, choose move.
Nama lengkap deh. Ininya dulu. Oh, tanja, tanja, tanja. Tahu, tanja itu kan belum bisa ini. Tahu. Ah, ini dulu ya. Tak cari, tak cari. Suara kecil dengan singkat. Lagu yang jelas atau begini taruh HP aja di sini. Mau aja yang ini. Join Zoom. Ya. Di sini kurang. Bentar. Jadi Bentar kita soal ini jadi di sini cuma soalnya dengeran yang didengar tuh dia. Kalau
Tapi Pak, kita pikirnya sejauh
ada tahu. Soalnya orang di besok ambil kamera.
Ide-ide gue yang masih tinggal sama saudara.
Oke.
Itu masih tinggal lihat air mau.
Kamu lah, kamera dapat.
Jadi lu pernah Elin kan? Kenal sama Elin kan? Nah kamu punya Elin, minta SD card untuk kamera. SD card kan, pinjam untuk kamera. Karena di Ilkom nggak kasih SD card.
Satu menit lagi. Siapa? Satu menit lagi.
Ini ditampil-tampil
Ya, udah ada.
Udah, oke, ngecek aja. Dan selamat pagi.
Then we have Bosman. Second speaker, we have Nopal. Give applause, everyone. Okay, now we have the opening opposition. We have Team Blessing. First one, we have Hello Now. Second speaker, we have Evan. Okay, so that's for the opening opposition. Now we have the closing government. From the team Qatari, first off, we have finalists. The second one, we have Hani. So that's for the closing government. And last but definitely not least, we have closing opposition. From team left, we have first one, Ideal. And finally, Regina. Okay, now that we have all the debaters, we are going to call all the debaters for this grand final round. Okay, first of all, we have Ms. Karim as the chair adjudicator at this round. Okay, next we have Paveliv as our finalist adjudicator. Okay, next we have Dr. Putu as our finalist adjudicator. Okay, next we have Bapak Henry Pakasio as our finalist adjudicator. And next we have our Kak Vera Widiana as our finalist adjudicator. And last but definitely not least, we have Dr. Sina Putra Sriwijaya as our finalist adjudicator. Okay, now that all the adjudicators are here, we are going to start the debate. Okay, to start the debate, let's hear it from the first speaker of the opening government team. The first speaker of the opening government team, time is yours. Am I audible? Yes. All right. First of all, my POI will be raising your hand. I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. We live in a world where inequality exists between indigenous people itself. This happened by historically how the world created by greedy elites that cannot control their greed. Right now, from for the indigenous people to be taken from immorally without any moral supervision whatsoever from the past. For example, how Indonesia, the people were monopolized and marketed and controlled, and the indigenous people control out of their rights, out of their necessity for resources and to survive, and to be able to control their welfare. And for this context of emotion as well, suffering of the healthcare system is abundant in this world where people don't have the ability to support themselves for them to be healthy, for the people with diseases that they're not be able to be able to fix and be able to be better, to be able to be healthy again because of the healthcare system is not being right and justice right now currently. Let me tell you a concept about reparation principle. The concept of reparation principle is basically where we need to actually give back something that we took from other people. For example, the people that we took their rights from, and the people that we took the resources from and necessity from. this is called reparation, and this is a, sort of an ability, sort of a moral obligation for us to actually give back to the people that we took from. And this is not only because of we took from them, but because actually for ourselves, for a lot of times we actually need to give back to the people because without meaning so, we actually sometimes take away from people as well. So second point is that indigenous people is the most vulnerable actor in society. Let me tell you that because what? Because the competition is not, they are not able to hop in the composition. For example, how indigenous people in Indonesia is very easily manipulated and enslaved by the people, especially by outsiders with power and knowledge, and even the better with the better knowledge and rights, they know how to actually slave people and easily manipulate them. This is not right because that is why generation of suffering will appear until now and before as well. Thirdly, why should then the healthcare system should be exclusive rather than inclusive? Well, the basic need of survival is health is basically the basic need of survival, right? Well, the access of health is not is accessible for everyone right now, especially for the indigenous people, and we want to provide those because we want to be the moral our side of the government provide the moral right of them to not suffer, to not die because we did not give them anything, not because of reparation, but because as human being itself. The government itself is right now the actors is the indigenous people and the government itself, right? Well, the government actually don't really have a moral obligation. However, it has a fundamental right. It has a fundamental right to ensure the society's welfare, right? The government has the fundamental right to ensure the society welfare because the government won't work if the society is bad and if the society is suffering and the society does not have enough resources to maintain the government itself, and the nation will fall. The government, in this case, in our case, actually, on our side of the government acts into giving the exclusivity of the healthcare to the indigenous people, actually not only to give them the freedom and the right to actually have basic needs for survival, but also for the government to not look like a moral entity, so that not only the nation itself, but the outside nation itself to actually give them actually give the government a better position in the international system as well. And of course, the government, if the government doesn't look like a villain, then we will trust the government itself, and the government will actually work better for it. There are any POIs? Okay, no, apart from my speech, thank you. Okay, thank you to the first speaker of the government team. The speaker spent 4 minutes and 37 seconds on his speech delivery. Now we move on to the first speaker of the opening opposition team, to the first speaker of the opening opposition team. Are you ready? Okay, to the first speaker, time is yours.
Okay, yes. Am I audible? Okay. Okay. Do you have preferences by raising your hand without making any voices? I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Just we know that our country is open for every citizen, either indigenous or not in this country. Okay, before going to my argument, some rebuttal, I'm going to start that the actor of this motion is government itself, who are the define of the government itself is to protect the civil people, the citizen of itself, provide their needs and giving a program for them. as we see in the status quo, judges, we are living in a world where marginalization and discrimination is already becoming big and happening in the status quo. We are saying that this needs some exclusivity, not an exclusivity in this status quo, even though it's for the indigenous people instead. Okay, some rebuttal for the OG. OG said that we are in the status quo, people in this era or in the status quo is easy to manipulated by the outsider. But we know that our people is already progressive to accept the divine or else from the outsider and the child. So it's not exclusive in our in this status quo. They're saying that exclusive is needed in the status quo, not the inclusivity. But they're not explaining the urgency, and they can justify why the exclusivity is more needed than the inclusivity in this nowadays. So they also said about fundamental right to choose the society. The government has the fundamental right to choose the society. But at the end of the day, as what I said before, the main goals of the government itself is where they want to protect the civil, provide their needs for the better and the civil good. Okay. I'll give the two parameters in the debate. First is equality and two is fairness, where we are seeing the equality of the differences that's happening in our status quo, where people are having two. Maybe there's indigenous people and non-indigenous people. There's no difference in we are living in a world where there is already some united, where we are trying to unify the differences in this status quo nowadays. What is the fairness? Why isn't fair? Because why? As what I said before, the inclusivity is needed in this nowadays world because there's differences in this world. That's why there is no need to separate between the indigenous people and non-indigenous. At the end of the day, they are paying the same tax. And every people, the justification is every people deserve the same system as a citizen in the nation or in some country or state. They are paying the same taxes. That's why we believe that they are having the right to deserve or accept the same things as the indigenous people get. So. Every people, no, thank you. Every people in this nowadays world, we know that a fund in a healthcare system is the most important things that we are seeing is nowadays, where people is getting like to sick in the same way. But at the end of the day, there's no need to separate the difference between indigenous people and non. At the end of the day, they dedicate themselves to the country, such as become government worker and else. At the end of the day, they're doing the same things. So why will they not accept and get the same thing, deserve the same thing as the indigenous people get? Okay, that's why at the end of the day, I believe that OG is not giving the clear framing and the justification why the inclusivity is needed in our status quo. Where in our framing is inclusiveness. Welcome to my argument. First, the right for every people, as what I said before. Every people deserve the same right. For example, the indigenous people is also working as government worker, for example. And at the end of the day, non-indigenous is also giving their dedicated with such as maybe become a university student who are having a good achievement, or else at the end of the day it is the same achievement at the end of the day. So why inclusiveness? We're saying about equality because it is not have no difference, as what I said before. We're seeing as a government, we are citizen model. Why? Because we're seeing if the government itself is not giving the same equality for their citizen, how the citizen will apply the same things like giving same equality for other person. That's why at the end of the day, if we are just establish and fund a separate healthcare system and possibly run by and for the indigenous people, at the end of the day, marginalization and discrimination will always be happening and not be finished yet. The fourth, we're talking about the contract social. No, thank you. Contract social, if there is a separation, judges, we know if there is a separation, it is violated the contract of social, where the contract social is never changed, where there is no right written like rules or promise, but it is going on from the beginning to the end. At the end of the day, contract social can still exist and never be changed because we know why contract social. Judges, we know every policy that exists must include the contract social because why? If the contract social is not included to the system, it is violating what already been exists in the social itself. Fine, we're talking about justice and itself. So we know the ideology of the country is always saying about the unifying of the people in the country. So that's why we're talking about separating is no need because every people deserve to have the healthcare system exclusively in both sides because at the end of the day, government is just providing the civility and the citizen for a better country itself. NBI? Okay, I think that's all. Part 300.
Thank you. Thank you to the first speaker of the conversation. The speaker spends more than 6 minutes to deliver her speech. And now we move on to the second speaker of the opening government team, to the second speaker of the OG team. Time is yours.
That's audible.
Yes.
So, your eyes just raise up and I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. This is not talking about justification of justice because justice has been done from the very beginning. The principle that's being brought by OG is somewhat is more superior than other analysis to the system or like social contract because this happened historically. It consists of historical values which is right and true. So that means the countermeasure to this to explain how historically is not something that is portrayed by OG. It's not something that is portrayed by us. For example, how the suffer, how the oppression that happened on the past. This is something that we want to talk about, right? Two, we are talking about differential ideas. That means the whole ideas of the whole rich people that being done by these individuals is coming from the suffering of other people, right? It's how conquerors begins, it's how oppressions begin, it's how discrimination begins. This is what we don't want as open government, right? But two, talking about justice, talking about explanation comparative, right? I think that although the opposition never explained to you how the system or like how these Indian people are able to get this right, because on the current status quo, the healthcare is somewhat that's really expensive and not all people are really accessible, right? See how lower to middle class are fighting for themselves, fight for their life, sacrifice the future for example to working and to fight to only to be able to buy pills for their busy for example like their suppressions. That means this is what status quo we fight for. It's not talking about equality, etc. Because equality is not really access to the status quo, right? But two, talking about principle. Why not individuals has the principle to right to get this exclusiveness? Three things. I'm going to explain why regardless the moral anything that being broke is not really important, but this is all about indigenous. Indigenous people is the most harmful and most suffer people in this majority. But these people are also being the fundamental of basic of country because the country will not exist without masses. So the majority will only be these indigenous people that create this country. But two, it is within interest of to give the priorities to the society of the majority, right? This is the basic for them to achieve the state welfare because this is the only way for you to provide the basic necessity to give more to majority than to minority. But three, minority on the status quo have their own advantage. Look how the Chinese people, sorry, so look how so many rich people is come from these indigenous people, and they have already have the right, and they have fully given their right of the health and etc. There is no problem anymore, right? But lastly, the country is being brought by these people, and it comes from their blood. Is to say how government are built by people in the past. There is fight between this oppressor. There is fight between the injustice with people, right?
This is how to say how state is making by the help of pillar from the pre-ancestor, from the past to create betterment to the majority individuals. Our goal is simple. We're going to give the equality, justice, and right back to the society, back to the majority individuals. But two arguments in the principle of governance, right? Government is the only important actor to make this thing happen because they have resources, they have the things that to make this happen. But two, as the principle, as a good state, you should give the best help and to push people to be able to survive anyway. This is really important. So even if in our South indigenous people still fighting for the war, at least they're able to access healthcare more cheaper at the end of the day, right? At least all of the oppressions, they might still survive, even if you are not able to fulfill all the things that maybe people have been promised to all. But two, as said, you are built by how glorious past ancestor one that comes from indigenous people. Look of effort, souls, love, etc. The work being happen, that means this is become the superior reason why you should give the exclusiveness, right? This is why this moral obligation for them to answer and fulfill the goals as the most powerful actor. But lastly, society welfare. I'm going to divide this into three things. The society welfare in our laws, there is six criteria. A, the equal share of right should be the equal amount of benefit. Last, the right distribution of healthcare that is equal, right? At least in the house, the healthcare was something that is really precious and important than economy, etc. Because people are able to live at least, right? So, how is the model? This might become questioned by the opening of opinions. This is a separation of system that is run by the engineers and exclusively for them. That doesn't mean that the other healthcare system belonging to the non-indigenous people will erase, right? That means there is two systems. One that is run by these engineers, one the other is for these indigenous. That means we still let these indigenous have the right to be genuine, right? So we don't do any kind of boring thing that we happen on the opening oppositions, right? But two, I'm going to talk about that means we also put more indigenous people to working at this kind of healthcare system, and the others are able to fulfill by these indigenous people, right? This means also we put more cheaper and more access to these people to gain healthcare system for the indigenous people. But talking about principal justice, within contemporary status quo, equality doesn't exist. Right? Look how indigenous people, local people should pay most expensive for the healthcare. Look how even society right now, or even students right now, are not able to buy any kind of pills just because it's too expensive, just because there is no some kind of subsidy that's given by the government, right? More people still fight for the society, for this equality, and don't want this to be happen, right? They don't get a proper service and etc. They even put them on the road, for example, suffering at the end of the day. So this is what we want to stop in our house, right? But also, I'm going to talk about likelihood of debate. Before that, any are 3, 2, 1. I'm going to talk about the likelihood on debate, right? The debate should talk about whether the likelihood to achieve the benefit for the indigenous people is more likely between two houses, right? But since opponent never explain you how the likelihood for these indigenous people to get that access, we think that we already win from the debate. First, indigenous people is knowledge of how suffer they are, right? That means we are putting these people that know how they suffer to become on the healthcare system, right? So this passion that coming to them will be more likely have the same feeling, have the best same feeling that they come from the same history, that they come from the same suppressions, right? It gives more empathy and sympathy as they have the same problem, for example, to fight within this society, within this country, like within this bring them more likely, a human system, a human and caring system between these indigenous people, right? So, what is the bottom line in this debate? Two things. A, we're able to give these people exclusively benefit in regards to which it is affordable, right? But two, how there is more human system inside of this capitalist status quo. At least we provide them a safety net for these people to able to buy healthcare in regard to all problems that they exercise, because this is only exclusive in out of the house. In their side of the house, more people of indigenous people are going to survive. More people are going to put more expensive expensive pills, for example, at the end. We don't want this to happen. That is what we're going to win on the principle, on the practical, on the like you, etc. Pro to win on this debate.
Thank you to the second speaker of the opening government team. The speaker spent 7 minutes and 40 seconds in his speech delivered. Now we move on to the second speaker of the opening opposition team, to the second speaker of the opening opposition team. Whenever you're ready, time is yours. Uh, so yeah, anyway, this is my first time in NUDC university level. So I think I want to give this little shout out. First, thanks to my God. Second, thanks to my family. And also thanks to my team and Helen for accompanying me. And also thank you so much for my mentors. I cannot mention you because you're so good and you're so kind. Also. Anyway, thank you also for thank you for the UKMB and all of this. But okay, I think for the BOI preference, I prefer just the closing government. I will start my speech in three, two, one. Panels opening government cannot win this debate. Why? Because the citizen framing is really, really out framing and also not true. Why? I think this is classes with the principle of use only and also the principle of use communist, which is in the legal aspect of Indonesian right. But I will give elaboration about that. But before that, I think all the cases from the opening government, like they want to propose exclusiveness, like moral right, etc. I think that's not important issue. But the second one, I think there is no urgency about the exclusiveness. And also, I would say that why at the end of the day, exclusiveness in healthcare is bad. Three structural reasons. First, because it will create a stigma in the society, which is that the status quo and also the government is really biased. Like the regulation is also biased because the representative of the house is really came from majority. But the second one, it will make people in gray area or people like non-indigenous people become marginalized in the status quo. You have to know the framing about the actor itself, I will give extension and elaboration. But the third one, it could cause it can make conflict at the end of the day because this is very easy to rise a conflict in the democratic country when it comes to marginalization, etc. But the second Wingback, I will give a principle about the citizen and rebuttal the citizen in opening government team. First principle is about usually. I think when it comes to principle usually, a prerequisite of being a citizen Indonesia, you must have Indonesian blood or you have Indonesian nature, etc. We are come from Java, Batak, etc. So because of that, we are called indigenous, right? But because of that, this citizen deserve all facilities given by the government. But the second one, don't forget about the principle of use subordinate, etc. The prerequisite of being citizen in Indonesia is your place of birth. For instance, if a Chinese people born in Indonesia, so it means they will, deserve all the facilities without any marginalization. Because of this principle, all the practical cannot run in this way. And okay, the next. Why at the end of the day, the establishment of separate healthcare system cannot be justified to principal reasons again. First is about the principle of social contract. Second is about the principle of equality. Principle of social contract. I think social contract is inclusive from the beginning. So it means all citizens, yeah, no matter what you are engineers or not, I think all citizens from all backgrounds are involved in the social contract. Like there's no agreement about about this. But the exception is every citizen at the end of the day deserve all the service and also the healthcare, for instance, from the country equally without any limitation, etc. Because the facilities on the public service, etc., belong to everyone without any limitation or marginalization. But the second one about the principle of equality, I think we are equal. Like no matter like your ethnics, etc., engineers or not, we are equal like before the law. It means that no matter what's your ethnic, your engineers or not, that's not important because we are equal. This principle cannot be rebutted by all the teams. Because this principle should stand as the principle in this nation. Yeah. So it means that non-engineers or engineers people deserve to all, deserve to involve in the healthcare exclusively. Okay, but I think from the opening government, there is no clear background and also problem why this is can be justified or not. But I stand as the opening opposition. I will say, I will give like elaboration about the background. First, see the problem in the status quo. People from the non-engineers people often being marginalized, like get discrimination, etc. The discrimination is not only like in the social life, but also indigenous people. They are people that do not have the blood of the country, but because of the majority bias, they are often being marginalized when it comes to three fields. The first one is employment. They are really hard to obtain work or job. But the second one is about public service. They often, get discrimination when it comes to public service, etc. And also the healthcare in this motion. So I think there is no urgency and there is no principle that can justify why we can make a separation in this law. But how the background is rises in the status quo. I think in the status quo, there's three reasons. First is incapable stakeholder, second is stagnant process, and the third is vulnerability. When it comes to incapable stakeholder, I think governments often make regulation or enact legislation because they are not, they are not capable. They often make a regulation that is not on point to the society. But the second one, I think because of the stagnant process in the status quo, the issue rises in the status quo often happen. Like, the issue that coming from the grassroots level happen because the government bias, status quo bias, and also the majority bias, like I said before. About the vulnerability, I think if opening government want to justify this and want to propose this, I think this will cause a potential risk and also be, make a marginal growth. First, about the potential risk. I think we'll agree that issue in the status quo, like marginalization, discrimination, is still happen until now. So the establishment of this, separate healthcare system exclusively can cause a potential risk for people, not only for the indigenous people, but also non-indigenous people. Why it could be happen in indigenous people? I think, see, the resources in Indonesia is not only from indigenous people, because we have, resources from non-indigenous people. But see the motion, if the system exclusively run by and for the indigenous people, so it means that the resources of Indonesia is still have limitation, right? But about the marginal group, lastly, I think the marginal group, this regulation will make the marginal group like people, non-indigenous people become the marginal group. So, proud to oppose as apa yang Mas Jalan.
Thank you for the contributor of the opening opposition speech. The speaker spent the whole duration to deliver his speech. Now we move on to the first speaker of the closing government, to the first speaker of the PCG team. Whenever you're ready, time is yours.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, a disclaimer. Anything I said in this debate is only for the debate matters and did not represent my personal thoughts or something like that. Maybe your preference is just raise your hand, and I'm gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Judges, living in society nowadays is like walking through the tightrope. Us, as the someone maybe having a privilege or something like that, walking through that tightrope with a safety net below us. So we just need to focus how to go walking through the tightrope and achieve the finish line. But that indigenous people, with the underprivileged people, they didn't have that safety net, right? So instead of walking through that safety net, they only all they think is just about how to not fall down from that tightrope. And I'm gonna tell you why in the argument, by doing this motion, this will be the safety net in the end of the day for the indigenous people. But for example, judges, status quo nowadays, I cannot accept any arguments from the any line arguments from the opening opposition because in our situation nowadays simple when the suku anak dalam coming outside from their village for example and they come at the public places or something like that they often get any discrimination like oh why your skin is not as good as us or maybe why you wear any clothes like that or something like that. So even if opposition said that, society nowadays is tolerant, I don't think so, judges. There are so lots of our that we need to take. But no thanks. Let's take a look at the debate on the opening batch. I think OG didn't make any clear explanation about how in the end of the day these indigenous people would run and buy and would run and would run by and for that healthcare facility or something like that. A response to OO said that in the end of the day, that indigenous people pay for the sunlight. I think that's not valid, judges, because in the end of the day, the indigenous people is protected by any regulation in this country. So they, for some point, paying for the different tax or from us, you know. And the second, in the end of the day, they think about that indigenous people could enter any college. I think they're talking about the affirmative way in entering campus, but in the end of the day, that's not accuracy because not everyone of indigenous people has the awareness enough to access any educational. They also say that the value of us is unifying and the separating is no need. I think no, because there is to separate is tend to be have more like can happen to their side. Why? Because equality is not same as giving the vulgar and the college student the same amount of money, right? Precisely. The unifying is tend to happen to our side because we already fulfilling the people right, and we prevent any clash and public because we fulfill people citizens right based on what they need. And yeah, it will create less conflict in our side in the end of the day, I think. Okay, jump to our argument. Indigenous people judges have historical injustice. They have the past trauma and sometimes it's the generating they often face any injustice or something like that. For example, like Hawaii or something like that. See when the Dayak people get out from their homeland just because they can't or something like that. Not nice. Let's take a look on the status quo. Like even if opposition say Indonesian people now can respect any boundaries. I don't think so. The status quo is not as ideal as they said because why? At the end of the day, the indigenous people is the vulnerable actor. Why? Because their right can easily take off from them because they have the historical injustice like the trauma or discrimination. This led to the cultural sensitivity guidance. Like that's not adequately addressed, right? This is really bad. Why? Because in the end of the day, they might be bullied or the vulnerable, they might be being content by any YouTuber or the impolite any content creator like look at the indigenous people or something like that. But let's talk about the human nature, judges. It is the human nature to prioritizing accept people with any similarities background with you, right? I'm not talking about the nepotism itself, but just like in our society, you are tend to trust people easily if you already know that you have the similar background in even is about the background, something like that. And we know that these indigenous people is still following their ancestral rules, so it's not that easy for any outsider to giving any socializing about the healthcare matter or something like that. But the insider, they grew up there, they already know the problem or something like that. Government has the moral obligation and because they have resources and any regulation and right. But second, the educational access. We know that these indigenous people, they might live in a society that might be isolated, far from any technology or something like that. This could be a short and long-term impact. Why? First, the community empowerment judges. We know that they lack of educational access by providing them any educational in health and something like that. this is not about they directly start the health facilities by themselves. No, but another mechanism it might be mixing about maybe for the first year the government might create a control from them and something like that. But why this is good? Not answer first. This will help for them to accept the government. Why? Because by giving them any facilities, by giving them any specialties, this will increasing their trust in the government. Why this is good, Jesus? Because it can create an easier way to government and create any regulation, right? Because for the example, right, before they do that, this indigenous people is so untouchable or something like that, and by they trusting the government, they are easy to be involved to any discussion or something like that. But second, this is a little this is not providing any. This is will increasing the bonding between them. Opposition might say that, oh, why don't we use or send our doctor their notice? Okay, I'm gonna tell you the mechanism. We will send the outsider doctor that, but maybe for the only first years or something like that. And if you think, oh, the hard work might need to end up in that, yeah, you can still send them in other city, in other village inside the city, not the indigenous one. And for example, we give that anyone's word that if you give someone a bowl of rice, you will give him food for a day. But if you give away someone to the farmer, you will give him the food for his whole life. This is related to the future impact judges. Why? When there are more educated people in that indigenous people, it will helping them to escalate their life level. Not only the health sector itself, but others, for example, like visa the healthcare facilities there, any other facilities or something like that. This is to address healthcare disparities, like how many of them are dead just because the way of the nearest hospital is too far, for example. And in the end of the day, this will protect their community, and by doing this, the healthcare is more accessible. And in the end of the day, I think it's only in our side who can really become the mechanism or something like that. And so that I'm proud to be the closing government.
Thank you to the first speaker of the closing government for the speech. And now we move on to the first speaker of the closing speech, to the first speaker of the UCL team. Whenever you're ready, I'm with you. Well, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, before I start my speech, for the POI preference, you may just raise your paper team for the OG and also the CG. You don't have to voice up, and if you would like to accept your POI, I would just say yes, please. And if I neglect or just ignore you, it means that I reject your POI. Do I make my screen clear here? Okay. Well, then, before I start my speech, I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Well, judges, imagine that you are outsiders, you are a non-Indonesian, you are a non-indigenous coming to this country with a high severity of pain that you feel. And also, you need an emergency help, judges. The healthcare provider says, sorry, please go into room, blah, blah, blah. Here is only for indigenous people only. Right before you go to the room, they ask you to, you might be that on your way. And now imagine your position as a government, don't you feel felt to the mechanism you have? And also imagine if you're the healthcare providers and you feel guilty for the things that you already did. So before I jump to my argument, let me read some of the arguments that have been delivered by the opening government and also by the closing government, and also what makes the closing opposition to be much more aggressive than the opening opposition. Well, first that the opening government, they've been delivering about things of Indonesian that easily to get manipulated, and this kind of argument been responded by the OO.
But, ladies and gentlemen, here in healthcare system, we're not talking about the manipulating, we're not talking about the business, we're not talking about this so on, something like that. But here we're only thinking on how to save the victim, how to save the patient, and then government giving the unlimited arguments, and also when they are talking about how many Indonesians that be oppressed about their rights and so on. Are you, the OG, giving the argument just because of your indigenous people of Indonesia? As if that you're closing your eyes and you can't see, you close your eyes and reject to see wider about the fact that we are facing in Indonesia itself, that lots of other non-indigenous in our country, practically, they are getting oppressed itself. A clear example is that lots of them looks like a Chinese living in Indonesia, but then they are recognized as a non-Indonesian people, right? And then they suffered by the past till now on. They suffered by the new order till now on, where we are now still living, right? And also when the classic government, they are talking about the indigenous people that have their past trauma, but the classic government with the argument as if that the non-indigenous is not human, as if that the non-indigenous, they don't have any other object or past trauma, and the argument is just unaccepted. And also when the OO already been delivered about their arguments about so on, but still that they are lack of the office, they are unclear about the mechanism that they want to offer, and they are lack of the elaboration of the technology, and also they are not so clear in the comparison itself. And so here, let me just talking about the background that I will just giving by the closing opposition. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as the actor that we know in this motion is about the healthcare services, the government side, and also the patient itself. Well, in the healthcare, we know that this is so wide, and also everyone deserves to get the same services, right? No matter who you are, no matter what parts are you, when we are talking about the separate establishment and funding, what is the accessibility for? The question is that when you come in as a patient, things that being seen by the healthcare services, in example, by the doctor yourself, is not are you our people or not, but it's about the how emergency you are, how severity, how high the severity of you are. We do got a lot of patients. How do we prioritize one? How do we make other one be more exhaustive? Is how would we treat the society, and it all rests on their first about their severity of pain, about the probability of that, and also not of our are you of our of people or not. And also for the government side, why would government would like to do such a separate things? That's the question that may be popping up. Government might believe that by doing this kind of thing that they're being proposed is that this kind of way it would be the sake of the increasement of pride of our own. It would be something that would increase the health by our own people, by our country. But then again, the question is that why would the government want this kind of mechanism works, and how they want it to increase the quality of workers for their government period? Are they going to make it or not? After all, ladies and gentlemen, no, they don't. Imagine when in Bali there are a lot of tourism that been crashed out, etc. Imagine they are crashing with others who is the Balinese. And imagine if the severity that occur is more damaging in tourist side rather than this Bali, rather than this Balinese. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as an example that the Balinese itself maybe just getting a little scratch and so on, they all refer to the EMS and also to the ICU by the urgent care development. Sadly, because of this kind of mechanism that been offered by the government team, these tourists treated in a separate way with a non-exclusive one when they are the one who deserve it much more than the Balinese itself. Furthermore, media could speak correctly, talking about the regulation of our country. At the end, our government would be looking as the failed one, not only in Indonesia, but globally, universally. This means that the mechanism offered by the government failed even to advantaging the government itself. And also, how the actual mechanism difference between the indigenous and non-indigenous people itself. And also the mechanism that would be offered by the closing opposition is much more logical and rational, ladies and gentlemen. Well, here it's not so hard and so simple to run the proposal by the opposition. The government, instead of do your separate things to advantage all sides, like their self as a government and also the healthcare provider and also the patient, you could do to increase the quality of every healthcare system and also the healthcare providers themselves. Well, in status quo, there's an example that in Indonesia, we are eager to building hospital equally in our country. And also in status quo, that we are increasing the quality and also the quantity of doctors by upgrading its medical school. Well, as the sample is that, as the exact sample is that in South Sumatra, we are in our progress of renewing our medical curriculum. And this is one of the steps of we're in our effort to increase our medical quality of life. And also that we are adding much more faculty of medicine to some of the university that's still in process and so other regions. Well then, ladies and gentlemen, here that the comparison that we see that if only that the proposal being given by the opposition if that happened, it would increasing the branding quality of our government at the time, and also increasing the quality of healthcare in our own country and our even globally. And also, we're not labeled as a country that is racism, and also there would be less objective equal services. And also, if we wouldn't reject the proposal that would offered by the opposite, it would just decrease the branding of its own government. The number of that of our country would be increased, and also the health by other country would be increased. Our access country. Thank you. Not to be offered.
Okay, thank you to the closing opportunity. Now we move on to the next speaker, and that is the second speaker of the host government, the second speaker of the CDT. Whenever you're ready, now is ready.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, for preferences, immigration, and without really making any uses because it would be a bit too distracting. And I would start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, first of all, I would like to explain as to why, in the end of the day, the explosions only explicit in our side of the house. Okay, so. Regarding to the CEO, where they have taking cases to the indigenous to a non-indigenous having access to health to proper health care. So non-indigenous do have trauma, unlike the CEO said, but they at least have better access to survive, unlike the indigenous people. Unlike the indigenous peoples, like the ethnic people, like the suku Dayak or Dayak and stuff. So indigenous people has this historical trauma, be it from the war they had in the past, discriminations given by the colonial government and the army. But by this only, we could actually be said that this is a valid reason for the indigenous people to have fear. The majority of people that has massive comparisons in number, where now the discriminations they had faced in the past has become a stereotype in the society as to judge them, even in this era. In return, the indigenous people have yet to have equal chances on being provided or can have access to public health care provided by the government. But let's take a look at the motion itself. So making it explicit only for the indigenous people are by any means to create a view of where these groups of minority able to have access on public facility that has equal quality in terms of service or individual facility provided in the healthcare, like how it is in the bigger cities and stuff, without having to fear getting discriminations by the majority of society. But let's take the social perspective where the indigenous people are like the dialectics or other indigenous groups that are far more have the urgency to be discussing their emotions. So these people have pride over their lives, and as as part of the country, the government should have done the responsibility as the country's people representative. The government should have not batted an eye to this minority group of people by not giving a facility a proper health care only because they are minority, or even as simple as for the reason is because they have the tendency to live in rural places or rural locations. This indigenous people, regardless of their background or historical background, where they live. These indigenous people have rights and deserve to have a proper health care. Notice how these motions are being debated. So first, it is because we fully aware that the minority group the indigenous people have yet to have an access to proper health care or even given the least attention from the government. And then second, the indigenous people have the tendency to get exposed in several diseases, as most of them are living in rural locations where not even healthcare are accessible. Notice that the indigenous people have strongest factor as why their people are now being extinct or decreasing in number is because they cannot afford or cannot even have proper health care in the first place. These indigenous people having the tendency to live in their ancestor and only taking actions that they believe is also done by their ancestor. This leads to the indigenous people not so open-minded regarding the healthcare they're supposed to take because they are very much dependent to the traditional medications passed down by their ancestors. Best believe that some of the medications are not proper or even has potential to harm themselves. And then, but why is it happen? Why is it that the indigenous people still dependent to their ancestor teaching, especially in medications? So first, the government have yet to give enough attention to these indigenous people, leaving them be as it is. And then the indigenous people themselves only believe in their ancestors. But then again, it is fully the government responsibility as the country representative that they should never overlook, even if these people are the minority in the country. And then second, the government put less effort, not really providing even the least proper healthcare for the indigenous people, and they failed to facilitate their people even a proper healthcare. Not even giving a proper education regarding healthcare to these indigenous people. And then we are aware that we are aware that the indigenous people are a minority in society. Their background are very much overlooked by the government, which resulting in the motion to happen, where in this case, looking back to our goals, we want to create chances for the indigenous people that up till now are still having the exact problem where they having difficulty in accessing public health care, whether it is caused by the discriminations of the majority of society, as they are seen to be not the same as them, or simply because they are minority, where their opinion often seen as not matter or caused by the government neglections, where the indigenous people themselves are not given proper health care in their homeland. Any guys?
Well, because of this, I think it would be first the other professors is on school because the government is responsible.
Okay, I would clearly again stating that making it explicit doesn't mean that making it explicit only for the indigenous people are by any means to create a view where this group of minority able to have access on a public facility that has equal quality in terms of service or any general facility provided by the government. It is because, like I said before, it is because the indigenous people have fewer in number, which then by the government are often overlooked, and then they nowadays, as why the solutions appear, is because the indigenous people themselves have yet to have an access to proper healthcare. And then with this, as the government team, we agreed with the motions where the government should obligated to establish and fund a separate healthcare system that is exclusive for the indigenous people, only as they now still yet to have access in proper healthcare, which they have right over as they come. So okay, that's all for me. Try to be
This is the second speaker of the construction team, and to wrap this debate up, we have last but not least the second speaker of the closing opposition team, to the second speaker of the GO team. Whenever you're ready, time is yours.
All right, before I start, I would like to say thank you to the panel of judges, to the panels of the finalists, and every single panel that has already joined us in this debate. Special thanks to Team Victor for being always almost being there in the same room as us.
Setidaknya di urusan percintaan. Walaupun salah, tapi ada yang menang.
All right, my preference of POI would be raising your paper, as in if you're OG, raise it your OG because I will refer you as yes, OG. All right, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Judges, this debate has gone off the rail times and times again. And why? Because there was no parameter that is set correctly by the opening governments. The thing that they have already said was not underlined or highlighted enough. Let me read to you the motion once again. This House believes that the government should establish and fund a separate healthcare system exclusively run by and for the indigenous people. So we hear the word inclusive right in this debate. We hear the word indigenous in this debate. But there was no parameter set, nor a single word of healthcare was said by the OG, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, the only person who tells you about the system of the healthcare, the real status quo of the healthcare in today's world, in what we've been talking about in this debate is Indonesia, is my first speaker. Therefore, he brings the new light to this debate where we, all of us, have been standing in the dark talking about two major classes that was not answered by the other side of the house. This side of the house talk about the urgency of the matter. No, thank you. The urgency of the matters. When we talk about the urgency, they fail to show why that it is not they fail to show why it is urgent for us to bring it up right now. They did, but it is simply not logical, and that is a bold point to make. But I have a proof why I think that it's not logical at all, ladies and gentlemen. They say that the reason why we want to give them exclusive healthcare is because they were oppressed back in the 18th century or the 1940s. In that logic, the German and the Japanese should be giving us thousands of dollars every day, compensating for what they did to us, right? Because that's what they want. They want to compensate of what we did. But then again, think again, ladies and gentlemen, who is the evil person that oppressed the indigenous people back in the 19th century, back in the 18th century? Is it really the government? As we know that the government was standing as a pawn to the colonizer himself. Therefore, we reject the logical thinking of the side of the house, saying that they want to give this as a compensation because that's what they're talking about. And then the second speaker talked about how he wants to show this as a thank you for being the hero of this country. Well, that doesn't work, ladies and gentlemen. It does not work for both the government and the people. And I have a real proof to that, a real thing that happened in real world. In South Korea itself, there's a program that if you are a child of a hero, a national treasure, then you will be getting compensation from a lot of things, such as mandatory military, such as scholarship for university, and it creates social certification, separating one people from another. And that's exactly what the government should avoid. The government should not separate their own people, but that's exactly what they've been doing. And the way they separate it is that they oppress the minority. This is what's been confusing in this today's debate. They say that people who are oppressed, people who are indigenous, are those who lived back in 19th century who was oppressed by colonizer. So let's say that all the indigenous people in here, we do not know whether our ancestor was the one who was walking around in the rice field, walking around in the field that works every day. Because then again, it does not make any sense. They say that's what indigenous is, right? But the other side of the house says indigenous is sukuan, not alam. Therefore, which one is correct? How can we make this debate into a correct one line if there was no one line in the very first beginning? Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, no thank you. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, they also want to give it as a thank you, and I give you an example, right? And another example that I can give you why we cannot give this healthcare as a thank you from the government to the oppressed is because, let's say, it is a question of moral. All of you standing in this room answer, would you rather be sick or live as a pity case? Because that's exactly what they've been painting indigenous people as. They've been painting them as victims. So, ladies and gentlemen, not only they painting them as victims, they said that the indigenous people back then, the one who lives in the past, right? Therefore, we do not know whether we were their descendants or not. So, ladies and gentlemen, they said that indigenous people are the fundamental of the country. They need basic necessity. They need everything. They need healthcare because they were oppressed. So by that logic, why stop at healthcare, right? Because we feel bad for them. We want to thank them. Why stop at healthcare? Why not go far beyond to somewhere else? Because that's the logic they bring to the table. It's not logical at all. Because the only reason they want to give them that is because they feel bad for them and because they want to say thank you. Therefore, the OG is out from this debate. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the other thing that the OG has mentioned that have to be mentioned once again, because this side of the house does not make any sense. Why? Because they want to, we know that the indigenous people of Indonesia, by their own definition, is the majority right now. So you want to give something to the majority. What you want to give is a privilege. And when a constitutional that is pulled by the majority, giving a privilege to a majority, what does it say? It will start a new form of oppression. To who? To the minority. Why? No, thank you. Because, ladies and gentlemen, everybody in this room, judges, I would like to grant permission to talk to every single member of the room. Please open up your identification card. What does it say? Indonesian, right? It does not say indigenous or non-indigenous. Because why we are all as Indonesian. How would you feel if you open your identification card going to healthcare system and they said, no, this is only for indigenous people. You are not indigenous people. We already make a system for them, which you are not a part of. Sorry. And then they failed to give us a clear system of what exactly they want. They said that healthcare is expensive. Okay, healthcare is expensive. Can we agree on that? Ladies and gentlemen, that's why we, the government of Indonesia, give you BPJS. And they failed to tell you that. They failed to give you what they want. Because you know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because it doesn't suit their own benefits. Because again, these two panels want to show that indigenous people are incapable, are poor, are uneducated. But in reality, most majority of Indonesian government is built of indigenous people by their definition, of course. Thank you for the definition. And then again, they did not give and then they keep on saying and making us feel guilty for the traumatic experiences they already experienced. But what about the first class immigrant? What about the other thing that happened to other people who are not indigenous from Indonesia? Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, also one more thing that has to be mentioned is that not all indigenous people back then was suffering. Therefore, your logical thinking is denied. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the speaker of the opposition team. And with that, our debate for today is over. Give a round of applause to everybody. Okay, now that we have that, let's hear it from all the adjudicators. The general comment by the debate today to all the adjudicators.
All right, thank you very much because yeah, this is a general comment, so the judges will make some time to deliberate, to make a consensus and also compromise to decide who are the winner. But once again, on behalf of the educator, we like to send our deep gratitude and congratulate all the finalists who are the real winners from each faculty. So congratulations also for all the finalists that make it happen today, for all your effort and also hard work for today's. And Yeah, thank you so much for that. And also for all the company, thank you so much. And after this is the what we call it as the final moment. We would like to feature this moment by having a photo session, right? That's all. There's no such. If you need personal feedbacks from your performance today, you may approach one of us to deliver our assessment today. So thank you all, and yeah, once again, congratulations for everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Sabar, sabar.
Baiklah, yuk bersama semuanya.
Yang itu samping aja ya, sudah. Halo. Di atas sudah selesai. Enggak, aku apa ini tidak bisa. Aku di dalam jadi operator tidak bisa keluar. Aku jadi operator yang bisa keluar. Langsung masuk aja udah.
Teman-teman boleh langsung dipercepat ya.
Kak, masuk ini ke YouTube. Live streaming. Kakak, jangan menghalangi. Iya.
Di 2024. Indonesia 2024. Indonesia 2024. Indonesia 2024.